joining us on Two Balls and a Mic. Really special interview today. It's our 101 first video on YouTube. So it's I'm really excited for this. We have a comedian. I don't know if up here is 2012's Miami Comedian of the Year or just the man for barbecue in the comedy scene right now. I don't know where that ranks, but we'll talk to him about that, some Miami Dolphins, and just sports in general. Please welcome David Williamson. Dave, how are you?
What's up, boys? Good to see you. Tony and Goat.
Goat, yes, the Goat. There's nothing Goat about him. It's just, that's just kind of how things happen.
I don't believe it.
What are you good at? Are you good at anything?
Of course, eating.
Okay, we're two.
My kind of man. I love it.
Sir.
You can find Dave at his podcast, Meet Dave, and also on the Tony Acevedo podcast, which I've doing some background research. I've seen some water polo matches, but I didn't know just how ferocious of a human being you have to be for that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think we can start there a little bit.
Water polo.
Dude, speaking of goats, man, Tony Azevedo is the best. I mean, I try to be like, you don't want to be like fanboy when you're talking to someone who's a friend or my podcast co-host. I don't want to be like, you're the greatest player of all time, but he is definitely the greatest player to ever come out of the United States. I think many people wouldn't refute that. The dude's in a sport where your career can be not long because it's a very physically demanding sport. This dude went to 5 Olympics, so that's 20 years, and played at a high level all those years. He was a team captain through most of those and the leading scorer, and I mean the dude's incredible. And so he just retired from professional or international water polo about 2 or 3 years ago. So I saw him at a clinic and I said, hey man, you're the most famous dude in our country for our sport. You need to have your own podcast. And so he's so busy teaching now and doing clinics and really trying to get back to the sport that he's like, I'd love to do it, but I don't know how and I don't have time. So the first week of quarantine, I texted him and I'm like, are you ready? And he goes, let's do it.
Nice.
So it's been really cool. I know that like water polo, a lot of people don't care about that. You guys are San Diego based, so there's a lot of water polo down there. But there's for our sport, it's a really cool opportunity for me to get to talk to him on a podcast every week.
I could guarantee nobody thought that this interview we would ever talk about water polo. But look, if you're ever in proximity to greatness as Dave is, we got to talk about it. And I think your sister played water polo.
My sister played water polo like 3 years in high school, and I went to a couple matches, and man, that shit looks tiring as fuck. Like it looks so fucking hard.
It's like soccer with your hands without drowning. I don't and being tackled. I
put it up there with boxing as demanding like physically.
Well, so like in women's water polo is more brutal most of the time than men's water polo. I mean, you would think that some sports women's is a softer version of the men's. There's certain rules in like women's lacrosse where they can't like check as hard as the men can or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Women's water polo is brutal, man. Those girls go hard. And one of the dirty things against the rules things that people do in water polo is we grab suit, So you're not allowed to grab someone's suit because obviously it gives you an advantage. You have a grip on them and you could use that to drown them or to counterattack them or whatever, control them. So with men, our suit's right here. So if we just keep our hips away from the other player, but women, their suit's all up here. So they just have a fistful of suit the whole time, dude.
Yeah, I mean, and for men, you got to, probably a fistful of cock if you just if you reach down there. There's not much. The uniforms look a little revealing for men.
The scratches,
for my taste.
The scratches are insane as well.
Look, it only happens once. Anyone who's really played at any sort of level of water polo, you've been grabbed in places you don't want to be grabbed. And it usually only happens once to where you learn like, oh, I got to keep my hips up and away from people. It's like getting dunked on in basketball. Like, you start to learn how to, protect yourself in a lot of regards.
100%. But no, it's a really interesting point. Anything that looks remotely like soccer, I'm immediately drawn into. And that the physical demand of that sport, of water polo, is just, like we were saying, just insane. Something else that, I mean, I'm not good at. You don't look like you're good at either. But football. You're a Miami diehard from Florida.
I played football in high school.
That's so weird. You've played football. You've played baseball. I've never played either one of those.
I was just a kicker, though.
Oh, okay, it doesn't count.
You're smart, dude. I told my son when he was younger, he loves football still to this day, but he wanted to play when he was really young, like 6 or 7. And I told him, I go, you could play, but you need to also learn how to kick. And then once you get up to high school level, I might only let you kick. We'll see how good you are at the other stuff. Because I played for 2 years. I played 1 year Pop Warner, 1 year high school down in Miami, Florida, which at the time it still is, but is like, one of the richest, recruiting grounds for high school or for college football in the country. I mean, there's some big boys playing ball down there.
Yeah.
And I got tired of just being beat up all the time. I mean, I don't think I was a wussy kid, but I mean, I had stress fractures in my feet and my jaw still clicks from getting blindsided on a punt return.
Oh, man.
I mean, you just get the crap beat out of you. So then I found water polo and I was like, oh man, I can like still have fun, like playing something very physical, but my joints are getting like pounded on the ground. It's soft on your joints.
Yeah.
But
I think I got cracked once on a kick return. Like, feet were up in the air and I landed like on my head and stuff.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
no, I got uprooted like that, and it wasn't even blindsided. Like I remember one time we were scrimmaging in high school. This kid Sterling Kihei, was a tight end. He ended up playing D-line at Wyoming. He's coming down the sideline, and I'm linebacker, and I'm gonna go cut him off, and he sees me, and I'm like, oh, I have the angle. I'm just gonna like nudge him out of bounds, and he like started running at me, and he literally took me off my feet and onto my back, and then went and scored a touchdown. And I'm just like, what am I doing, dude? But yeah, the Dolphins, dude, it's so exciting that I told my wife this weekend, I go, this is the first time in years that I'm excited to like come home and watch every single play of Miami Dolphins football. It's been so long, when I was growing up and Marino was our quarterback, and we had good defenses every year. We just never had a running game, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, we had season tickets. I'd go to so many games. If I didn't go to games, you better believe I had 6 buddies over the house, so we were ordering pizza and watching every game. And college football has been like that for me, but it's been a long time since pro football has been like that for me. So it's fun this year to have a young quarterback and something to be, and a coach that you trust again.
Yeah, no, and both things we want to get into. Brian Flores is doing an amazing job. Tua coming in and doing what he's doing in his first couple games. I actually the thought just came to my mind that just the joy that I saw, because I follow you on Instagram at Dave W Comedy, but definitely the joy in your face when you came out. I think you came out of Starbucks or something. You had your Dolphins hat, and you were saying, I'm wearing this with such pride today and such joy, and just that I'm like, this man needs to speak Dolphins football as much as he can. Yeah. Let's get him to just, because I've been a Brian Flores fan since last year. This man is doing great things, and last year is what people say that the Giants are this year. It's like they're not a good team, but they're getting better every game, and that's what happened last year under Brian Flores. So, I mean,
the pickups off season were great as well, just defensively.
Well, every coach that we've had for the past, since probably Jimmy Johnson left, right?
Yeah.
Every coach has been coaching for their job, other than Parcells. But when Parcells was there, Parcells was like coasting as a front office guy,
Yeah.
And so some guys under him had a little bit more job security, but no one's been willing to tear the team down and then build it back up the right way. Even the year we only won 1 game.
Yeah.
With Cam Cameron, and he came in, and he was just such a debacle that it was like, sure, he was just saying weird stuff in the media where it was like, oh man, he's already lost the locker room. But Brian Flores came in and said, we're going to tear it down, and we are going to build up the right way, no matter how long it takes. And he's done it, man, and he's done it in a short period of time. And I will say this about Brian Flores too. I'm an even bigger fan because that post you're talking about, I walked out of the coffee shop. I had my Dolphins hat on. And not living in Miami, sometimes you take some grief like you did when I popped on the Miami Heat. Oh, sometimes you take grief when you don't live in your team's region. So I go in and the guy behind the counter goes, "Oh man, Dolphins won yesterday, right?" I go, "Yeah, they did." Man, that's cool. And so it gives you a little pride to be like, "Ah, man, it's not a laughing. You don't wear it, and then people go like, Dolphins." So I pulled up my phone and I said, "Hey, man, what a great feeling to be proud to be a Miami Dolphins fan again and be excited to talk about the team when someone brings it up in small talk, And I tagged Tua and Brian Flores in it, and Brian Flores actually liked the post.
Nice.
Yeah. That's what you that's what social media is for, man. That's what you live for.
Yeah. I was like, that's so cool, man. The coach just and I know I feel this way when fans, and I'm nowhere near as famous as Brian Flores is now. But I know when fans write me or appreciate or put the time into including me on anything, and I write something and then they come back with, "Oh my God, you actually write back," or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm just a dude, man. I read all this stuff, Like, so the fact that he's just a dude and probably was like, "Oh, cool, man. People feel good about what I'm doing." I hope that makes him feel good,
100%. And it's one of those things where it's not, if usually not in past years, I assume you still wore Miami gear and it'd be like, "Wow, dude, you're really brave today. Good on you, man." Still representing, like, you still think you have a chance or.
Well, that's like the Dolphins are a good example of that because we've really hung our hat on that 72 undefeated season for way too long,
Yeah.
And then the Miami Hurricanes too. It's always like clinging to past glory when we should be ashamed of some of the stretches of time since then. But I'll tell you, it makes me appreciate the Miami Heat even more because the Miami Heat with Pat Riley in the front office, they're like when you see a company, like forget about the sports, just the company aspect. Take care of your employees, build a culture, be a team that your fans can be proud of, even if you don't win a championship. And I know that's like blasphemy in sports fandom, but it's like, no, man, I'm proud that they maximized whatever they could get. And then, you're always going to have a shot every couple of years of taking a big swing. You're not going to just be left in purgatory like the Miami Dolphins fans have the past 20 years, throwing Trent Green and broken Dante Culpepper out there at quarterback,
Good old Dante.
It's looking good for the Miami Heat too. I mean, you guys have a decent squad as well. But for the Dolphins, how great does it feel to not be in that Belichick Brady shadow anymore?
Oh, I got worried when they signed Cam because I was like, I love Cam. I went to Auburn, so I root for him. But I was like, man, if Cam could come back and be like Cam, we're gonna have to deal with these guys for another 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, and if anybody can do it, it's Belichick. Like, he knows every play ever on a football field, so he'll figure it out.
Yeah, give them another season. He'll get some help around you. They'll probably somehow still end up with Trevor Lawrence or something. They're not going to be down for long.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about? I don't know if you saw the game or saw the highlights or whatever, but Tua has won 3 in a row, and then the offense was stalling a lot against Denver this past week. And then at the end of the game, Flores benched Tua and put Fitzpatrick in just for the final drive. And it worked because Fitzpatrick got him 90 yards and was, in position to tie the game, but then he threw an interception instead. Did you guys think that's a big deal to just pull Tua, or do you think he should have left it in there to see what he could do and give him that experience?
Go for it.
I think Brian Flores is a man that knows what he's doing. Because at the time when he benched Fitzpatrick to start Tua, I was like, oh man, that's fucked up. Fitzpatrick's actually playing well. And then Tua starts balling out, and then he kind of does the same to him when in a game where they're losing. So I think it's just him sending a message. If we're gonna be fucking up, I don't mind starting either one of you.
And on top of that, another thing you kind of save him because look, you have the Jets next week. So you know what? Humble him a little bit. Say, hey, you know what? Good outing. Put Fitzmagic out there. You know what he's going to give you. He's going to get you a good drive, good exciting drive. He's going to fire up the guys. Yeah, threw an interception at the end, but you sit him down. He thinks about why he's being sat down. Next game, you've got it. You've got the easiest game on your hands that you have in your career.
Yeah,
you're going to throw for 5 touchdowns hopefully, and just let him loose.
Yeah, I thought Denver was going to be an easy game too, though, and it wasn't, obviously. So you never know in the NFL. But I hear you. I guess, no matter what side you fall on, whether you think it was a good move, bad move to pull him out in that situation, the nice thing is that Flores is a coach that's earned my trust, so I don't have to freak out spending time second guessing it. I can just go like like you said, I trust him, and I'll assume that it's the best move possible, and he's got more info than I do. So, man,
Yeah.
it feels good to have a coach that you can feel that way about.
Yeah, that's not on the hot seat every Monday and getting talked about every single on every single
you
show.
have two reliable quarterbacks.
You do, and if you do need to go back there, and again too, this is Tua's coldest, highest game he's ever had. He's been in Alabama forever. He's been in Miami now. Go ahead and throw him in cold Denver for a game. It's his first experience. It's a weird season. Again, you don't want to make excuses, but it's not like you're making excuses because he's been doing great things. And something we were talking on the show yesterday is I honestly think that this generation, this last draft, who knows now with Burrow, what happened yesterday, 2 days
crazy.
ago. Yeah, it's terrible. But even then, I still think that Burrow, Tua, and Herbert are going to be a better draft class than 04. And I'm a huge Phillip Rivers fan. And I say that because fuck the other two.
That's a bold ass statement. Shit.
Yeah, it's certainly seems to be trending that way though, man. Isn't that fun though? Like quarterbacks in the league kind of come in waves, right? It's always the same old dudes forever, and then you get like 3 or 4 new guys all at once. It was like Lamar Jackson and Mahomes are kind of in my brain like the same wave.
Yeah.
And you got the Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Something else now you got to deal with. How's that? How's that? Looming, seeing him ball out like that.
I mean, I love it, dude. When I was growing up and going to Dolphins games, the Patriots sucked back then, right? So our big rival was Buffalo every year. I mean, there's nothing better than a Miami-New York rivalry when the Heat and the Knicks were battling it out, because there's a connection between New York and Miami. A lot of people from Miami moved to New York, and a lot of people from New York moved to Miami. A lot of people from Miami vacation in New York. A lot of people in New York vacation in Miami. So there's a lot of bad blood, friendly bad blood between the two of them. So it's a really fun rivalry. So I would love it I'm not counting on the Jets being good anytime soon. So if the Bills were good again, I would think it would be fun battles. Back in the day, Brian Cox would come out up in Buffalo, flicking off the fans. Those were good years.
And obviously, like I said, the Jets. I don't know how Adam Gase still has a job. I wish I could suck at something so bad and get paid so well. But
he's a dead man walking.
Yeah, 100%. But as far as this season, obviously it's a weird ass year for everybody, like literally for everybody. Something obviously that you guys are doing with Bert Kreischer is going on tour in a bus, hopping on, which looks like the funnest thing ever. Even if it weren't in a pandemic, it's just a bunch of guys hanging out doing a bunch of guys shit. But what's it like, man? You're like one of the only people in America really that gets to watch football and sports with friends. And
it's the best, dude. And you're really hitting on something there, because people are like jealous that, and I don't mean jealous in a bad way. Like they're happy for us, but people are like, oh man, that's so awesome. You get to do shows. No one else is doing shows. I did the math the other day. I think there's a chance that I maybe have done more shows in 2020 in front of a live audience than any other comic on earth.
Oh shit.
If you really think about it, because I was touring pretty heavy January, February, and then hardly anybody's been able to do shows other than like these kind of makeshift shows going on around LA. But I've been doing those when I'm in town, and then doing the shows with Bird on the road. So it's pretty crazy to think that, but you're right. One of the coolest parts about it is not just that we're doing shows and traveling and it has work, but we take a test, to make sure we're all negative, and then we get on the bus, and then we stay isolated with the same 7 or 8 dudes for the whole tour. And we're like in each other's bubble, so we get to drink beers, watch football, we got a pickleball net. And we're playing pickleball at 3 a.m. in the parking lot of a venue. like we're coming up with all these crazy hijinks. I mean, you know how we are with you see Bert's Instagram stories. So that's honestly been one of the coolest things about it is just hanging out with friends.
Yeah.
Just being like, oh, we're all part of each other's like family, our quarantine pod for the next like 3 weeks and getting to hang out, and when I see them and be like, what's up, bro? And give them a hug. And I'm like, I haven't hugged anyone in 4 months. It's like, other than my wife, it's like, yeah, dude, it is really, it's been a blessing, man. And thank God that Bert's the kind of guy who said, hey man, let's try it, and came up with the idea. And we did it and it worked, man. Cause it's really been a blessing to be a part of that. It's been a blast.
Yeah, did you get to watch the Heat lose in the bus?
God damn it! What the fuck are you doing, dude?
I did.
Fuck you.
I got to watch them win a few series and then lose the finals. Yeah. Hey man, look, it's not a sore subject for me. I am so proud of that team. They overachieved to get there, and also I think that the injuries really cost us in the finals. So it's not like we showed up there and like didn't earn our spot. I think that we would have pushed even if we didn't win the series, I think we would have pushed another game or two if the Heat were healthy. But we lost 2 huge pieces in game 1.
Yeah, you guys have a solid squad. I think you guys are actually gonna extend Adebayo as well.
Happened today, man. Yeah, I gave him 5 years, like 160 mil or something like that, dude. He's taken care of.
And you still got Tyler Hero balling out as well. So I mean, you guys are in good hands, honestly.
It's a fun team. I coach high school water polo too. Mm-hmm. And plus I've been a part of teams and stuff, obviously growing up. But this team is like something you always dream of when you look at the roster, because they just like, you can just tell that they genuinely love each other. Like all through that whole playoff run, they were just like, we're focused, we love each other, we play Heat basketball. And a lot of times, pro teams say that, but they don't do it. But you could just tell, man, the way they're cheering for each other. Even the guys who are on the bench, they're not like, why aren't I getting minutes? They're just like, let's just do whatever. They were all in, man. It was so refreshing.
And it's funny because Jimmy Butler is known as not a locker room player, but the chemistry with Jimmy Butler and all the guys in that team just looks so genuine. And I'm happy for Jimmy Butler because he finally kind of found the team that he fits in.
Yeah, man, and it's refreshing to see a dude do that. Like, he could have stayed up with the Sixers where he was wanted and they were going to pay him and everything. And he said, I've heard good things. Dwayne Wade really put it in his ear too. It's like, I've heard good things about this culture down the Miami Heat franchise. And he's like, I just think that that's where I need to be to be the best version of who I am as a player. And he was right, man. I mean, he's had a reputation of being a bad locker room guy, like you said. But I think it's not because he's like selfish or disingenuous or anything like that. Like, it's because he wants to win so bad and he wants everyone around him to go as hard as he's going, And it's hard to create that everywhere, And in Miami, we're like, yeah, we're into that. Let's go,
So I mean, it's you're probably one of the best people to ask this because you're a Miami Heat fan. But obviously you've seen LeBron now win against you, but he has won with you. How was that weird? Was it how was that emotion as far as like, hey, at least it's LeBron, it's our guy, get another one, go chase Michael. You're already past Michael. Where do we stand on this, Dave?
I like LeBron. When he left Miami, I trolled him pretty hard on social media, but just because it's really fun. Yeah. Because people get so caught up in it. But I'm always happy for LeBron. I think he deserves his success because no one keeps themselves in shape better than LeBron and works hard at it. LeBron's a good dad. LeBron cares about, humanitarian things. Like, he's got a little millennial in him. He does some stuff where you're like, come on, man, that's cheesy. He's a huge flopper, Yeah. But if that's the worst thing about him, so be it, man. The guy's an incredible player. Like, there's so many times when LeBron is truly special is when, like with Miami, that series with Boston, Game 5, where it was a must win for Miami, and like to close out the series after we snuck up and took a game from them, and they were like, oh shit, we really need to win this next one so it doesn't get out of control. When LeBron just goes, yeah, I'm gonna win this game, and then you just can't stop him, man. He just puts the ball in the net, man. That's what's so incredible to me about LeBron, dude. And that's the difference between having a team that's like made up of a bunch of really, really great players versus having a dude who's an all-time great who goes, all right, man, one possession, game on the line, there's a good chance I'm getting it for you. And if I don't get it for you, I'm going to draw so much attention that someone else is going to get it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like he's doing that exact thing now with just rings, as far as like, you know what? I there's a window now where I really think it's possible for them to go back to back, maybe. I mean, look at the team that they're stacking together. I'm a Clippers fan.
Dude.
Montrezl going over is not happy days, but that team is stacked. You know, there's the Rockets, who are just getting disbanded. Maybe the Nets, you kind of don't know what to have. You still have the Heat, but I can really see him getting two, maybe one for sure. One for sure, at least.
Well, we got to see if Harden goes to the Nets. If he goes to the
but
Nets,
even then, I don't think it's enough. And then Warriors lost Estebato
Thompson.
Clay.
Clay.
Well, look, man, one thing's for sure is that the NBA is fun right now.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
When the Warriors had, like, you know, 4 all-time greats, and, you know, these teams were stacking teams, it wasn't as fun. And now it's like, yeah, there's super teams, but there's a lot of super teams.
Yeah.
And then in addition to the super teams, there's teams like, you know, like Miami and Denver, who have squads who can be like, hey man, we could surprise you just because we're so deep, you know? So the NBA is fun. Kawhi going to the Clippers and not to the Lakers was such a domino to make the NBA fun again, man. Because if Kawhi had gone to the Lakers, it would have been night for the next, you know, 7 years.
Can you imagine sitting in that entire bubble? There were certain parts where I was just like, all right, guys, just let the Lakers have it. We could see it's the writing on the wall once the Clippers went out. But can you imagine them having Kawhi on top of it? Like,
it would have been game over, man. Yeah. It's like, you might as well just start, you know, what is this? Oh, sorry.
No worries.
No, you're good. But
no, yeah, it would have been fun. Even as a Lakers fan, I mean, I can tell you.
Fuck off. I would
have loved to have Kawhi.
You're a Dodger
I would have loved
fan.
to have Kawhi, but I mean, it is what it is. It's fun again. There's also young teams like the Pelicans who can ball out, and then you have this draft class that's looking promising, going to different teams.
Jordan's gonna unretire and play with LaMelo. That's how
I'm a huge LaMelo fan, so I'm excited to see what he does this season.
Well, what a weird, like, I didn't even watch the draft because I had some stuff going on that night. But what a weird year, because the NCAA tournament like makes, you know, the draft every year, because that's when, like, you know, like Dwayne Wade would have never gone lottery pick if it wasn't for him dominating in the tournament that year. Like, that's when everyone's on showcase, you know.
Yeah,
and they barely even had a season, more or less, the tournament. So these NBA teams are just like, well, like, I guess we'll take that guy.
Yeah, and I got a gripe with that because I'm a San Diego State student, and San Diego State was dominating. They were poised to make a deep run. There was the whole map thing. I don't know if that made it anywhere outside of San Diego, but they were the only undefeated team, you know, at some point. But it didn't happen, and that's, you know, one of the things that just sucks about this fucking year.
Well, look, man, I went to Auburn, and we finally have a basketball program now with Bruce Pearl, and we made the Final Four last year or the year before, you know, and then. We felt like we should have been in the finals, but we you know, it was a real controversial call at the end of the Final Four game, and so we were looking forward to running it back this year, man. And they were off to a hot start, and then it was like season over, you know. And now this year we self-imposed a ban on ourselves for a postseason, so you know it's your window's tight sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Although Auburn, I think, you know. I believe that you run out of luck or magic at a certain point. Auburn just ran out of luck and just used all their karma points with that great comeback against Alabama. Just one of the greatest sports moments of all time. Is just I don't know. It's just
comeback was insane.
It was crazy. So you mentioned you coach water polo, right? So we actually work with kids. So as you probably know, and you have children of your own, they're like human puppies. They're not the brightest, and I can't imagine, you know, throwing them in a pool and telling them to play a sport and not, you know, grab each other's trunks and stuff. What's one of the just stupidest thing that you've witnessed a child do? You can choose maybe coaching or anything, but just where you're just like, wow, like that's dumb. That's just.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to think about that for a second, because you know. I coach high school, but I also coach now 10 and unders. So I have a little 10 and under club team, you know, who are like, you know, people are brand new to the sport. So the dumb things that they do are very different, I think, on those two levels.
Yeah.
Man, I'm sure I have so many great stories about this, but
or even with parents, because that's the last thing. Like I had.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I got one. So this is actually a few years back. I was reffing. I wasn't coaching. All right. And and so I was reffing a City League girls playoff game. And City League is like very it's not high level, right? But it was two teams with two ridiculous coaches who were yelling and screaming, and they obviously didn't know the sport very well, and it was total chaos. The players were beating each other up. It's girls teams, right? They're beating each other up, right? And so one of the teams scores a goal, and they go to line up in the middle of the pool again. And I'm standing, you know, and in water polo, the referee stands up on the side of the pool. Everyone always asks, "Are you in the pool?" No, the referee doesn't have to swim.
Wow, I've never thought
the
about
referee
that.
were up on the side of the pool. And now the way this pool was set up, the fans were like breathing down my neck, right? Like the bleachers were right behind me, right? Like a little raised. So I mean, the fans are right here, and like they're just getting into it, yelling. It was just two teams that don't like each other, right? You know, like obviously it's rivalry and bad blood. So this one girl looks up at me from the pool, and she goes, "Mr. Referee, number 12, grab my swimsuit and pulled my titty out," right? and I'm like, "Oh my God, what do I do with this?" I felt so bad for her, right? Because she obviously had never been coached how to avoid that from happening, or what to do if it happens, or whatever. So we're not supposed to coach the kids as from a referee standpoint ever, right? Like show, and if anything, it would be like during a timeout, the coach could come over and say, "Hey, what does my player need to do to get this call or that call?" But I felt so bad. I knew these coaches didn't know what to tell them. So I kind of lowered my voice and leaned out a little bit. And what I was going to say is, like, what you have to do is if they grab your suit, you have to show the referee that your suit's being grabbed before it gets to the point that like your tit gets pulled out, right?
Yeah.
So I go, "Look, you have to show the referee." And then she cuts me off and she just yells out, "I ain't gonna show you my titty," like that. Just loud as can be, right? And the parents behind me are like, what did that referee say to her to make her say that? Like, you know, and I just blow the whistle, like, "Here we go, let's go." I was like, "I'm done refereeing. I'm going back into coaching." It's
man.
This is too dangerous.
Yeah, no, that's.
All I'm trying to do is help. All right.
Yeah. put those hands up and just like, yeah, man. No, that's the worst
Next
thing.
7 minutes, I don't know. Ask your coach.
Yeah, just go. Show your coach your tits. Go for it. Wow. That's. I mean, now we know though.
Man. Yeah.
Now we know. At least, hey, let your sister know.
Oh,
right.
No.
But definitely, as far as sports goes, I feel that cooking should be a sport. And from what I've seen, from what I've heard, you've been touted as one of the best, if not the best, producer of barbecue on the comedy scene right now. I've heard it from Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer. I could, just go through the list. Everybody is saying that your barbecue is just holy. Is there any truth to this? And how can I replicate that? I mean, as a beginner, all I know for meat is carne asada, which is delicious, but it's quick. But we're not known for taking our time. Could you walk us through that world?
Yeah. Well, look, so this is what I think. I think that just like sports, and you already made the comparison, it's like anything. You have to practice, and don't be afraid to fail. But you do something enough times that you're going to inevitably, if you have the talent to go with the drive, you're going to get better at it. You know what I mean? And you're going to get good at it. And it's something that I never knew I had the talent for. But now that I put in the work the past 5 or 6 years since I got into it as a hobby, I've been able to merge where talent meets preparation into doing a pretty good job at it. You know what I mean? And I love the fact that it's my identity now in the comedy world. It's so funny that it was already becoming, just because of Instagram and posting photos. I'd go to the comedy club and people, it's normally the cliche conversation when you walk to have a beer at the comedy store or the improv. People go, "Oh, what's up, man? You doing a spot tonight?" "No, I just came by to hang." "Cool, man. You got any road gigs?" "Yeah, I'm on the road this weekend." "All right, cool." But you used to have the same conversations over and over again. And I started noticing when I'd walk in the door, people would be beelining towards me going, "Dude, I saw those ribs you posted on Instagram 3 days ago, man. How do you do that? And where do you buy stuff like that? How long do you smoke it for? And where'd you get that smoker from?" Like everyone just wanted to talk to me about barbecue. So then with going on tour with Bert and bringing we got that travel smoker from RecTech, that just took it to another level, because, now like truly the comedy world and the barbecue world were being put together. And, I was cooking for my fellow comedians, and I would even bring trays of stuff out when you have meet and greets after the theater shows. And I'd give out little samples of brisket to the people in line waiting for the meet and greet. And
we got to go to the show.
And now with the podcast too, like it's definitely merged my two worlds, barbecue and comedy. It's been a lot of fun.
It's just like the perfect mix of stuff. I mean, it
Comedy,
looks
food.
you're putting food in people's stomachs and smiles on people's faces. It doesn't get any better than that.
And you know what? I like coaching sports, comedy, and barbecue for the same reason, is that it's all tools that I can use to make people happy and have an impact on people's lives. And I think that's probably why I've gravitated to those three things in my life. That's pretty much what makes up all my time, other than being a dad, is doing those three hobbies that have kind of become professions for me.
I'll sorry to interrupt, but I always want to say, because if I see a good dad, you're doing a great job. It's saying, hey, also dad, nah. That's a job, man. And we got to give dads out there their respect. Yep. A lot of piece of shit dads out there. So you're feeding these kids this. You're sharing this with them. I mean, that's a little too much. I don't love anything.
Well, my older son is a super picky eater. He likes hot dogs and nachos and just crap like that. But my younger son, since he was a little kid, one time I had a T-bone steak, and I was halfway done with it. And I turned to go get like a beer or something out of the fridge, and I came back, and he's at the table gnawing on my T-bone. He barely had teeth, and I was like, all right, I know who my carnivore is going to be. So it's funny. My older son and we bond over watching football games together and sports, and my younger son, he and I bond over grilling and cooking together and eating.
So Thanksgiving's coming up. Is there anything on the menu that you're already preparing, planning?
I've seen some stuff, but I'll let him tell you.
As soon as I hang up with you guys, I got to go brine my turkeys. I got 2 25-pound turkeys that I special ordered from a ranch, and so it was a 2-bird minimum, so I had to buy 2 of them, and then my buddy's gonna buy one from me. And then my buddy Greg Wilson, who's a comedian, hit me up the other day and said, "Hey man, can you help me cook a turkey? I don't know what I'm doing." So he dropped the turkey off for me today. So I'm gonna put 3 turkeys in my smoker. So that's going to be about 60 pounds of turkey in my smoker. And then I went ahead and got a brisket as well, to throw a brisket in there for good measure. So yeah, we're doing brisket and turkey. And then my neighbors and my wife are in charge of all the sides. I got the proteins. I said, you guys take care of all the sides.
Nice.
And that should give you an idea of what kind of a smoker we're talking about. Like, this isn't just some amateur shit hour. No.
Yeah.
It's a serious smoker that I believe is in the front yard or was.
Yeah. It was too big to get into my front yard, so I built a deck and a platform and a little awning for it in the front yard. And I love it in the front yard, though, because when I'm smoking something, I sit out there all day pretty much and just kind of tend to it and drink a beer and hang out. It makes me happy.
Bro, your neighbors must fucking love you.
I make sure that whenever new neighbors move in, that they're cool with it, and that they know that they can come get food whenever they smell it cranked up. And I always make enough to hand plates out to the neighbors to keep them happy. And I like it because it's a conversation piece too. So I'm sitting in my hammock, with my meat probe and tending to my fire. And then people are walking their dog and they're like, "Oh my God, that's a huge smoker. What are you cooking?" And then we sit there and talk about smoking meat. It's a good way to connect with the community.
Definitely. Again, smiles and faces, meat in stomachs.
Food is a universal language, man.
The Jimmy John's over here in LA went out of business with all the shutdowns the past several months. Mm-hmm. So I bought the neon sign from the front window, So in my front yard, in my barbecue shack, I have the big neon sign that says "Free Smells."
Oh wow, that's perfect.
That's dope.
Oh, that's wonderful, man. Well, we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping it up, man. But I do have one question for you that we like to ask our guests. If you had yourself a golden ticket and could go to any event, live, past, present, I mean, can't really do future. What would that event be for you?
Wow. Specifically sporting event, or
I
any
mean,
event?
it could be however you'd want.
Man, that's a heavy one. Well, I've been lucky enough to go to a lot of great sporting events. I went to Auburn. I've been to a Super Bowl before. I went to the Auburn national championship game that we lost. The one that we won would have been fun. But I think I've been to a lot of the NBA Finals games that the Dolphins, that the Heat were in. I've been really lucky to go to a lot of games. But I think if there was one event from the teams that I love that I wasn't at, that I would have loved to have been at, it was that Iron Bowl kick six game where we ran the missed field goal back to win the game.
Yes.
And Nick Saban was just there. Like, what just happened?
Just walking off in disbelief. Just, man, remember People? That was great, wasn't it? Remember,
Yeah.
People in the
You
stands.
best believe I would have been storming the field that day, man.
100%, man. If you can do us a favor and stick around right after, just so we can go over a little bit, say hi and bye. But could you let the people know where they can find you? I know you're coming close here in San Diego County, in San Marcos soon.
Yeah, I don't know when you guys are going to post this, but we'll be there this weekend. Friday and Saturday night, and then they just moved the late show Saturday to Sunday because of the curfew. So now we'll be there 3 nights in a row, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, opening for Bert Kreischer. And then if you follow me at Dave Duck Comedy on Instagram, I always perform all over Southern California. So good chance that I'll be, whenever shows start happening again in LA or the San Diego area at some point. And then Instagram is probably the best way just to check my schedule in general because I'm not very good at updating my website.
Oh, we actually saw it, and there's some links that I wish I could have followed, but I don't think the website exists anymore. But really, yes.
Yeah, I would say the other thing too is something that's happening this year that's kind of a new thing is I'm doing a bunch of holiday parties for companies and corporations on Zoom. So if you want to put a happy hour together with your friends, or if you have a company out there and you need a comedian for your holiday party on Zoom, hit me up. I know how to make it happen.
Awesome. Definitely. Really appreciate that, man. Really appreciate your time. And I hope we can do this again, man. It was a lot of fun.
I appreciate you guys asking me, man. Can't wait till we can have a beer together and watch a game when having friends is legal again.
Exactly. All right, man. And